Alrighty, welcome everybody to another episode of 161st and River. And for the first time this off season, it is a Yankee Hot Stove watch along. Yes, Yankee Hot Stove returns in 6 minutes for the first time since last off season. I'm excited to see what rumors are dispelled, what rumors are created, what Jack Curry says. So I'll have it on my TV in the background. Then what I'm gonna do, you see I have my screen shared to a Google Doc. I'll be on here the time. I have my iPad sitting next to me, and I'm gonna type it from my iPad. Some notes and stuff because I'm gonna A, write about it because that's what I do, and B, I'm gonna probably take what like the bullet points before I expand on them and post them on social media. I'm gonna use them as a socials post, but I'm gonna type them live. So it's going to be Michael Kay, Jack Curry, and Bob Lorenz. Cam Schlittler is going to be in studio, so I'm very excited to hear that. Um, he actually received some votes for mayor of New York City, so did Aaron Judge. And I think Jalen Brunson led the sports icons in the city, which is kind of cool. But I'm excited to hear what they have to say. I mean, the baseball winter meetings are next week. Why is this not working? Baseball winter meetings are next week, and they begin Sunday night and they go through Wednesday. You can expect, hopefully, for the Yankees to have some sort of activity during that time. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Yankees are going to do, 4 trades and a couple signings. I do expect them to do something. And if they don't, I would start to say that this is going to get concerning because the Yankees' moves so far this offseason have been Trent Grisham with a qualifying offer, which was kind of a layup. And their other move was getting Ryan Yarbrough back on the 1-year deal. They haven't really done much. They have a hole in the bullpen. They have multiple holes in the bullpen. And I could show that before the hot stove starts. Bullpen. They have currently 4 holes in the bullpen. They do have some minor league depth, and Jake Bird is not on here because I don't know what his role is going to be. He was here for 2 games an option because he was that bad. I don't know what he's going to look like at spring training, and personally, I think Yari De Los Santos and Brent Hedrick are more surefire bets to be on the major league squad on opening day than Jake Bird until we see Jake Bird in spring training, hopefully good because they trade capital away for him. Hopefully he comes to spring training and he's good. He makes the team. That'd be cool. But he struggled even when he was in AAA. So they need relief pitching. We know that they need an outfielder. This is what their lineup currently looks like. Yes, I have Dominguez leading off because I believe that if he's in the starting lineup every day, he'll lead off. But, the Yankee lineup was the best in baseball last year. I don't know if it's going to be this year. Even if they bring back Bellinger, which is why I want them to bring in Tucker over Bellinger because I think the lineup could use a bit more of a boost. Tucker strikes out less even than Bellinger, and Bellinger didn't strike out a lot. I know the Yankees, I know what Jack Curry's probably going to say in about 3 minutes, that they love Bellinger and they love his defensive versatility. I could probably write it down now. They love his defensive versatility. They love everything he could do, yada, yada, yada. I think they need Tatsuya Imai in this rotation because that would move Yarbrough to the bullpen, which would actually fill that long relief bullpen spot and add a lefty back there. I'll call up Imai's numbers here. Imai had a very good season with the MPB. Excuse me. 10-5 with a 1.92 ERA in 163 innings. Now, we've seen worse guys from the KBO and MPB sign already with teams on contracts that officials around the league have kind of called an overpay, especially the Cody Ponce one to Toronto. That was called an overpay. by some. And Tatsuya Imai, they're going to have to overpay for. And from what I've heard, the Yankees are kind of the front runner. I mean, I don't know if they're going to identify, oh, you're the front runner. From what I've heard, the Yankees are kind of leading the way of like, okay, this is where he's probably going to go. And that makes me happy. I've heard the Phillies are on the outside looking in. Mets fans seem to think he's going to the Mets. I don't really see the fit because David Stearns does not like spending big on starting pitching. They just saw what that happened with Senga, and that's about to be a divorce. And Imai has made it clear he doesn't want to go to a team with another Japanese player. So until Senga's traded, which he doesn't want to, and I don't know if it's in their best interest to trade him. I personally don't think they should. I think Senga's a lot better than what he showed this year. And in 24, if we're being frank, I think he's better than that. And I think Senga can bounce back. There are some other teams, of course. I think the Angels might be in on him. That could be a sneaky one. You know, if Artie wants to spend some money there, the Angels could be sneaky in on him. But I'm holding out hope that the Yankees actually get a deal done for Tatsuya Imai and actually do this. Because I think they need a pitcher like him to give your rotation more solidity. Because if we're going to be honest, someone's going to go down in spring training. If I had to guess, it's going to be Luis Seal. Will go down in spring training. And then you're going to end up with Elmer Rodriguez or someone else on the major league roster, or they're going to have to get someone off the DFA hump, you know, like a Cookie Carrasco like they did last year to make starts for this team. You got to remember, 3 of your 5 rotation start spots in April were Will Warren, who was good but not great last year, right? He was good. He took steps in the right direction, but he wasn't great, and he was not a big game pitcher at all. Then you had Cookie Carrasco, who had one good game, and they lost it because Devin blew it. So shout out to the Metsies. All right, here we go. All right. We did this last year as well. It was fun last year, so I'm happy to bring this back because I know not everybody has Yes Network. I can't stream it, which is why I have the notes. There's no hibernating for the Yankees, but there is a big sleep as Trent Grisham will be back. They said there's no hibernating for the Yankees, but there's a big sleep. So is that your big outfield edition, Trent Grisham? Is that what they're about to tell us? They already started with the Bellinger stuff. This is insane. I can already see the Heyman article in the Post tomorrow about this. I can already see it. And I'll probably read it, and I'll probably get pissed at it because I think bringing Bellinger back is a problem. You can't just strike up the band and say, let's do it again. It's not going to work. We know this. We've seen it before. That's what they did in 23. The only addition going into 23 was Rodon, and he was hurt. All right, let's hear. All right, so they have a graphic on the screen. I'll mute it. Aaron Judge won the MVP. Rodon had elbow surgery. Volpe had shoulder surgery. Grisham accepted the qualifying offer. Bellinger opted out. Hill opted in. Yarborough resigned, and Devins with the Mets. Why? I want to hear from Jack, not Michael. I hear from Michael every day. I love Michael. And he accepted it. And by taking that move right there has so many tentacles that will lead to what the Yankees do or don't do. We don't know what their payroll is going to be. We don't know if they want to get under $300 million, which Hal Steinbrenner said would be ideal. And if they do, that $22 million is going to take up a lot of the room. So they have a center. So Michael already referenced within the first 10 seconds that Hal wants to get under the payroll.
When the season ended, I said that signing Bellinger was a priority for the Yankees, number one priority. But what Michael just brought up impacts that Because now that you add Grisham, it is obviously going to have an effect. You've got Judge making $40 million in right field. You've got Grisham making $22 million in center field. What is the Yankees' appetite going to be to pursue a player like Bellinger, who fit seamlessly last year? Let's talk about how great a fit he was, the ability to play all three outfield positions. He even had some time at first base. He was great defensively.
That's a great start to this.
He crushed left-handed pitching.
That's a fantastic start to this.
And Scott Boras is his agent, and we know the approach that Scott Boras is going to take. So, Michael, you're absolutely right in the sense that you have Grisham in center field now, but as the Yankees move forward, is something like a Dominguez or Spencer Jones more appealing to them, or do they really get heavily involved in trying to hunt down Bellinger? I think Bellinger's going to have some suitors, and I think that number's going to go up.
One of the things that I laugh
This
at
is
because
bad.
it has now become almost a hackneyed cliche. Well, there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. It is a bad one-year contract if the $22 million chews up something else you could do. As you said with Bellinger, they'd like to have Bellinger back. But again, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes with the Yankees in terms of where they want their payroll to go.
You know what's happening behind the scenes. This is insane. We're 2 minutes into this shit, and this is insane already.
If they want to stay under 300, Brian Cashman and company be very creative then.
They're going to stay under 300. They're not making the playoffs.
Revelation last year, 34 home runs, an OPS of over 800. He had never touched those numbers in his career. Talking to some Yankee people in the offseason, they say they are confident that he can duplicate those numbers. We're going to have
This is great. Yankee people.
If he does, he's worth the $22 million.
Confident. Will rep.
If you look at the defensive metrics, though, his defense wasn't as good last year as it has been in previous seasons, and it is something that is going to hover over this team, especially as future decisions occur for them, especially with whatever happens with Bellinger.
And if you look at it,
This tells me they're not getting Bellinger or Tucker, and they're just going to roll with what's inside.
If you had become a free agent, what would you have commanded on the market? There are very few center fielders out there. Maybe Lewis Robert will be traded by the White Sox. You've got Harrison Bader coming off his best offensive year. Cedric Mullins.
They're saying Bader and Luis Robert. Are we fucking serious?
That they got their center fielder, but how it impacts the rest of the moves, that will only be told in time.
And I just want to touch on this. Jack, you brought it up. What does it mean for Jason Dominguez? Does it mean that Spencer Jones spends more time in AAA? Like, those are guys that people thought they might be in play, especially had Grisham not accepted the QO. They're in play right now. They're part of the organization right now. As Michael said, we'll see what the rest of the offseason, how it unfolds for the Yankees.
Okay, that's an interesting comment. They're in play right now, but we don't know if they will be in a week.
Struggled from the right side. That is something that he needs to tighten up in order to be an everyday player. Spencer Jones, 35 home runs at AAA, an OPS of over 900. These are players that the Yankees hope can be productive at the major league level. Bellinger already was productive at the major league level. That's what the offseason is all about. You're the Yankees right now. You won 94 games. You got knocked out by the Blue Jays, a team that you just couldn't solve during the regular or postseason. What changes can you make to make your team better and allow your team to advance even deeper?
And once Grisham accepts the qualifying offer, if the Yankees do sign Bellinger, then what happens with Dominguez and Spencer Jones? You're not going to play them on the bench. That becomes trade chips for the Yankees. And the Yankees, I think, we don't know what they're going to do yet. Obviously, the winter meetings will tell us a lot. But right now, they're building their team.
We don't know what they're going to do yet. You absolutely know what they're going to do. You absolutely know they're going to do something.
But when they're all pitching, along with Max Fried and Cam Schlittler, they have a great starting rotation.
They have a great starting rotation. You know what? Cool. You know what? They have a great team going in, is what Yes Network is pumping up right now. They're all fucking set. We don't have to do anything this offseason. They're going to the World Series. You cannot pump here. I'll get into it on the commercial.
So, Michael, is there a priority to get starting pitching, like a great one to stack 1, 2, 3 with Fried?
This is gonna be something.
Let's find a guy that's going to fill in some blanks until those guys come back.
Well, I think they've already made the fill in the blanks move, and that's Ryan Yarbrough. So he could be their fifth starter and then transition to the bullpen after that. They like the way he pitched before.
All right, I could take that. It's an okay comment.
Is there to try to get another pitcher, maybe even through trade. There are a lot of pretty good pitchers that could be available through their trade, and the Yankees do have what seems like a robust farm system right now. But you have to walk a tightrope, Bob, because of the fact if you get a really great pitcher, well, what happens to Cam Schlittler? What happens to Clark Schmidt? What happens to Will Warren? What happens to Louis Hill? I know the old saying is you can never have enough pitching. Sometimes you have too much, and then you just render guys useless.
Yeah, our job is to talk about who the Yankees are going to be at the beginning of the season. That's what the Hot Stove Show is about. But we can't ignore who we think they are going to be, and both of you guys have talked about it. When the Yankees are healthy, it's going to be Cole, Fried, Rodon, Schlittler, most likely Heel. I'm leaving Schmidt off to the side right now. And Warren. And that's a lot of pitching. At the beginning of the season, I do think Yarbrough is your back end of the rotation guy. Yankee fans might not remember this, but he made 8 starts for the Yankees last year. He's somebody who the Yankees
This is fucking pathetic.
take you into the middle of a game. Is there a possibility that through one phone call or one text, some trade proposal crops up and the Yankees become very interested in it? Of course, that's always possible, but I think we have to look at who they have ready to come back and not just think that they have to suddenly get a number one to start the season.
As far as the bullpen goes, and the Yankees, we know, are always active in the offseason looking for bullpen pieces to beef things up. They've got Bednar, they've got Doval, and a variety of pitchers. But, Michael, as you look at this, Devin Williams, now gone, he signed with the Mets. So how does the bullpen stack up, and how vital is it that they add 2 or maybe 3 arms for that pen?
It's going to be interesting to see what they do because they also don't have Luke Weaver, who probably doesn't come back as a free agent. Anyway, I never thought that they were going to bring back Devin Williams, and that is not to say anything about Devin Williams. He failed as a closer.
All right, so Luke Weaver's not coming back.
Well in the second half of the season as a setup guy, so I understand what the Mets did there. Gave him a lot of money, $51 million over 3 years. I think the Yankees, they've shown throughout the years they have a propensity to build bullpens, and it doesn't have to be people that you know about. They take people that were reclamation projects and they turn them into important arms in the bullpen. I think that's what they might do because the bottom line is they have their closer in Bednar, and Doval looked much better toward the end of the season and the postseason than he did when he first came.
This is pathetic.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I'm talking to some Yankee people this week. Bednar is their closer. So
Yes.
attaching the Yankees to any closers that are out there on the market, and there are some appealing ones, say whether it's a Diaz or a Suarez, I don't envision that happening. Do I think the Yankees are going to add bullpen arms? Yes, they're going to have to. And all the players that we mentioned, we should also mention Jake Bird, who was acquired last year.
They just said Jake Bird.
Love to spin on his pitches, but he had to end up getting sent to the minor leagues. They think he can be a contributor. But you will find bullpen arms, and even some of those solutions could come internally depending on when the Yankees starting pitchers come back.
And they did bring back Tim Hill, who was a really effective pitcher for them. So that gives you 3 for sure things in that bullpen. And again, they really do know how to build a bullpen, so I think they'll put it together.
I got 5: Bednar, Doval, Cruz, Hill, and Bird. That's 5 guys that I think are in the bullpen for next year.
Wait, so they're just going to put Bird in the bullpen? He was in AAA half the year.
Michael's right. I think the best organizations, they build bullpens.
No, the best organizations actually go out and get a fucking bullpen. Go get Edwin Diaz and make him the closer and push everyone down the list. No, that's, oh my God.
That's why someone like Tim Hill,
Miguel Rojas is going to the Dodgers.
who Tim Hill had been for the White Sox before the Yankees picked him up. Why do the Yankees love him? Gets a ton of ground balls, and he's such a different look from the left side of where he throws the baseball.
Now, since this is our first hot stove, there's just one warning that you should have, is that you'll see a lot of names attached to the Yankees. Like you mentioned, Edwin Diaz. Well, the Yankees might be interested. I don't see it. I don't see a guy who's going to want a 5-year deal at $20 million.
They just said.
I can't see when the Yankees already have their closer. When you make their bullpen.
They just said. You have to watch who says things and
and
connects the Yankees to things.
All these rumors, a lot of agents use people to put the Yankees out there to drive up the price. And the Yankees are not allowed to say, we're not interested at all. You can't do that. But the Yankees allow themselves to be almost like a Trojan horse for other teams. Bottom line is a lot of the stuff that you hear are agents using the Yankees
This is
to try
incredible.
to drive up the price from others.
First hot stove last year, since you brought it up, I said the Yankees were not targeting Bregman and that they were not interested in acquiring Arenado. And then those 2 names were perpetually attached to them for a longer period after
And you're
that.
hearing the same thing about Alonso. I don't see how Pete Alonso fits with the Yankees. Also, at that price, and they have Ben Rice at first base. So you're going to hear that a lot. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Week to week, Jeff got a little hot under the collar on the hot stove, having to shoot those Two stories down. Meantime, before we go to breakdown, so a little quick
This is
one, Anthony
this is
Volpe,
insane.
He's had that shoulder surgery, will not begin the season at shortstop. It will be Jose Caballero. Sets up just an interesting scenario when
This is an interesting question.
Yeah, the Yankees believe that Caballero and Cabrera can hold down the fort until Volpe comes back. And Volpe is a very hot topic for Yankee fans, for people who follow this team. And whenever I get asked about Volpe, I go back to something that Brian Cashman, the general manager, said at the end of the season. He said, I believe in this player. We believe in this player. So the Yankees believe that there is more from Volpe. I think the thing that Volpe has struggled with is just consistency. I remember Derek Jeter once saying that one of the hallmarks of his career, one of the things
We're going to
he was most
recap this in
proud
a
of
second
is
because
how
I'm going to go on a
consistent
rant.
he was. And for Anthony's accomplishments throughout his career, it's been the inconsistency, I think, that has plagued him.
One thing that you hear a lot of, and you actually just mentioned it as well, he's probably going to miss the first month of the season. I wouldn't bet that way. This guy is driven. He's very soft-spoken. It doesn't seem like he's an animal when it comes to this stuff. Now, you can't obviously define medical science. It's going to take a certain amount of time. But if he could push it and he could be ready before that, I can see that happening sometime in April rather than in May.
We'll keep our eye on that. Meantime, we're just getting started here on Yankees Out Still, presented by
All right.
Coming up.
I'm going to mute it, and then I guess Schlittler's coming up next. I think it's only a half an hour episode. So that might be it for, like, the big updates. I'm not going to lie. It looks like I have a chat here. This is a good one. Cashman cooked the past couple of deadlines. I have faith he will again. He's cooked to the trade deadline. He's been really, really good at the trade deadline. The past two. I mean, bringing in Jazz, I think, is great. Bringing in everyone he brought in this offseason. Any idea how to watch this out of market? On the Gotham Sports app. Actually, wait. I don't think Gotham allows you to. I'll be live for all of them, so you can join this. But what I would suggest, and I don't know if I should suggest this, is getting a VPN and then putting on the Gotham Sports app, but that's kind of illegal. So I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but I do that a lot because I'd rather watch the Yankees on the MLB feed because it gives me like their numbers on the side and important information for me to take down notes for writing my game story. So that's how I normally do it. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. The Soto trade was elite. Yeah, that's a good point. Fried, they don't make the playoffs without Max Fried, and I think that's pretty safe to say. They definitely don't make the playoffs without Max Fried. Or Bellinger, if we're being honest. I mean, Fried and Bellinger made this team better. My concern right now is based on what Curry is saying. It doesn't sound like they're going to do like a lot. Like it sounds like they think their team is fine going into the season right now, and that they think that they have a championship team. And I'm going to say this is going to be disappointing if they don't do much now. That's not to say no one saw the Devin Williams trade coming last offseason. So I can't really say that. They could totally surprise every single one of us next week and go do something. What that doesn't deserve a breaking from Heyman, and that broke 10 minutes ago. Oh my God. I don't get it. For those who missed it, I mentioned it a few minutes ago. Miguel Rojas and the Los Angeles Dodgers just signed a contract for next year. Obviously, the Yankees were probably not involved like at all, but worth noting. All right. So they're going to talk to Cam Schlittler. This should be fun. I like Cam a lot. He's quickly becoming one of my favorites. All right. Maybe he can go on Twitter after this. I know he said not till February, but maybe.
First pitcher in postseason history with 8 or more innings, no runs, no walks, And 12 or more strikeouts. Most strikeouts.
That was one of the best games I think I've ever seen was Schlittler's performance against Boston. It felt so much more against Boston. All right.
Here in studio at Yankees Hot Stove. So let me ask you about this because post game you said when you woke up that morning you were locked in. Some guys can't do that. They can't handle that. How did you know you were ready for that moment?
Yeah, again, also thank you for having me. And again, I got really good sleep. I kind of just, knew what I needed to do. The team had a lot of confidence in me. I had a good conversation with Booney the night before.
I hate that they call him Booney. Like, that's just such like a. I feel like it's so unprofessional. I mean, who am I really to say? But that sounds unprofessional.
There's no hesitation or second guesses, showing up to the stadium that day.
Cam, it's a do or die game. It's only your 15th major league start. You come out in the first inning, 6 pitches, 100 miles per hour or better. How much did that allow you to relax a little bit when you knew you had your best stuff?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is obviously not letting the adrenaline or the crowd, get to you too much. So for me, I've always been someone to feed off, the energy of the crowd and my teammates. And,
next week, I might not be able to be live for this. It would only be next week. The week after, I'll be fine. Just saying that now while he's talking about his pitching performance a month and a half ago with stuff we've heard.
So I'm wondering, though, you're talking about what it was like going in and you have the confidence. To be in the big leagues, you obviously have confidence. But we just read all the things that game was about. It was unbelievable. You saved the Yankee season. Any night during the winter where you just look up at the ceiling and go, I really did that, man. Did you ever think like that?
I feel like for me, again, it was.
I'm so excited for his development.
Just another game for me. Obviously, definitely exceeded expectations that game, whether it was with the fans or family, friends, all that. But I really don't think too much about it. But again, a lot of people bring it up, so I feel like if there's a time where I would just kind of sit there, kind of take it in for a minute. It's a great feeling and just kind of a situation we're in to just be able to, again, help the team win and further our chances to get into the World Series.
For some young pitchers coming in, they got to get their feet wet. They got to have the lousy outings, the good ones, figure out what pitches work. What was that light bulb moment for you, whatever it was in the regular season where...
Just thinking while they're talking to Schlittler, Michael K was being the drum last week for Fernando Tatis Jr., which is probably not happening. Like, I had cold water put on that when I asked. But they didn't mention that, which I think is cool. They probably should have mentioned, like, that's not happening. Like, that's why there are certain rumors that we don't put up on Subway Sports Network because I've been told that they're not true. Therefore, I'm not going to put them out. Like, the Luis Robert Jr. one, I was told is probably not happening because they don't need a center fielder. There was another one last week of the Sandy Alcantara. That was thrown cold water right on immediately, and so I didn't do it. There was one that I did post. Oh, the Skeens one we didn't even put up, like the Skeens quotes, because I was told that Pirates people were pissed when that report came out. So I'm like, I'm not going to put this out there. I'm going to just not. I think I reposted it with like the clown emoji because I knew it was not true, but I'm not going to discredit someone else. Any news? Yeah, so right now they're talking to Bellinger. From what I heard, it's more so the years are a problem. It seems like the years is the gap. Bellinger obviously wants more years. I'm sure there's money issues as well. And I wrote about that yesterday with Last Word on Sports. That there were years related issues and therefore nothing's been done and nothing's particularly close, but it takes one phone call to say, okay, let's compromise. They're not in the market for high leverage relievers. We knew this. Now I can see a trade for one. Like if the deal is right on the trade market, I could see them saying, let's go like they did with Devin Williams. They were never in on the high market free agent relievers last offseason. I'm trying to remember who some were last year. Not ringing a bell. Anyways, they weren't in on Tanner Scott. They weren't in on Kirby Yates. I believe he was a free agent last. Yeah, Kirby Yates. They weren't in on them. They're not going to be in on Suarez. They're not going to be in on Diaz. We knew this. All right, no matter what New York sports talk radio says, or former sports talk radio hosts that now have podcasts, they are not going after this. Okay, Alcantara makes sense because yes, so they did want him at the deadline. The problem is the Marlins have been very open about them not wanting to trade Alcantara. They'd rather trade Edward Cabrera, who the Yankees also had conversations for. So I think of the two, it could probably be Edward Cabrera. I think the price would be a lot on Alcantara. No problem, anytime for the information. I don't see Alcantara. It's a tough read because obviously I can't say never because really never say never about really anyone. I mean, all it takes is one phone call to be okay. You're sending us Dominguez because they were Spencer Jones away at the deadline, or really a Jason Dominguez. The Marlins valued Dominguez over Spencer Jones, and the Yankees were like in an in-season deal. We don't know, like starting pitching at the trade deadline. They haven't really done in recent years. They were close on Jack Flaherty. They did not like his medicals, and they probably lost the World Series because they didn't make that trade. Now, for all we know, Cam Schlittler could have been in that trade. I don't know who was in that trade, but I do know the reason it didn't cross the finish line was because the Yankees were worried about his medicals, which ended up being a wash because he was the Dodgers, one of their best pitchers down the stretch. So, and Alcantara was just coming off Tommy John. There were probably concerns on both sides. Now, Cashman wanted him at the deadline. They really tried it, especially at the final moments. They were really involved. And the Yankees just ultimately were like, okay, we're not going to part with either Jones or Dominguez unless we're 100% sure. Like if Joe Ryan was being traded, Jones and Dominguez probably would have been that deal. He might not be traded. Now, one I can see them going out if we're going to talk about this. You know who else makes sense? Freddie Peralta. I did post that one this morning because I was told this morning that, yeah, there's a really, really good chance that gets done, that he gets moved. And Mark Antanasio, the owner of the Brewers, and Matt Arnold, the president of baseball operations, have been very open in the fact that they don't have money and that they need to improve the ball club in other ways. And I think who was it? Quinn Priester, I forget who it was, accepted the qualifying offer, and they didn't expect him to. And obviously, like the Yankees, apparently, it handcuffed them. If we're led to believe that the Yankees are going to be handcuffed this offseason because of the qualifying offer, then obviously a small market team that doesn't have expendable money like the Brewers are going to be more handcuffed. I could totally see them trading for Freddie Peralta this offseason. He makes sense for a ton of teams, but that's going to be a bidding war. And that could be when the Marlins are like, okay, we're seeing how much capital the Brewers are getting for 1 year of Freddie Peralta. Let's see what teams will be offering for Alcantara. But the problem is, so they don't really want to move him. Yes, that's true. But they know they can't retain him. That's the other part of this. The contract is cheap. But you also have to look beyond the contract. They know past this season they're not going to be able to retain him. And they know that if they trade him in the offseason, there's a higher chance for a better return in the offseason than at the trade deadline. And they'll be able to get a lot of capital back. So that's how they're thinking. They don't want to trade him. They might have to trade him. His contract is very, very cheap. But they can also then get controllable talent that'll be in Milwaukee for a while, like they did last offseason with Devin Williams. They didn't want to trade Devin Williams. They had to trade Devin Williams because they needed an infielder. And they got, a runner-up for the Rookie of the Year, or third runner-up for Rookie of the Year, which was Caleb Durbin. And we all loved Durbin, and he, I liked him as a prospect. I thought he would have been great on the team. In fact, if they had him over at third base, the strikeouts are a lot less. I mean, he wasn't exactly, the best offensive hitter on the planet. I'm just copying this for socials. He wasn't exactly their best offensive hitter, but he was a role player. And that's all we heard when he was with the Yankees is he's a role player. So teams like the Brewers, who are small market teams, look for deals like that in order to kind of redo things. They're going to look for major league ready talent. Like they might ask for a Will Warren and plus. It would be Will Warren plus. Well, Will Warren's a major league pitcher. We just heard Jack Curry and Michael Kay say, well, the Yankees have a lot of pitching. They have so much starting pitching, it isn't funny. And it's like, okay, that's great. That's fun. But, you know, you can use some of that pitching to deal. And that was the point with like going out and getting Tetsuya and Mai. You can then deal you could deal pieces if you get a Mai. Right. I'll just put a picture of my notes on Blue Sky. Some of these apps, and Threads. All right. The one benefit to Twitter Premium, besides live streaming, is the unlimited characters, which is great because other apps like Threads and what's the other app? Blue Sky don't give you unlimited characters, and it's horrible. Even though, X is not my favorite app on the planet. The Temptation. I mean, the one quote that should give you some hope is that the Yankees have some temptation to get a top starting pitcher. Closer Emilio Pagan is going back to the Reds. So there's a closer off the market. I don't think the Yankees were like at all linked. But Emilio Pagan back to the Reds. Now, Curry's not going to know anything. So I actually spoke about this yesterday. I do think Amai's a lock as well. I actually went as far. Now, I'm a little taken back by this episode of Hot Soap. I'll admit I am. I will say this, though. I said yesterday on here, I came on for a little bit yesterday, like a 15-minute, like I had nothing else to do, and the Knicks were blowing their lead, and I'm like, I'll come on for a few minutes. And I mentioned I'd be kind of surprised if the Yankees do not sign Amai. If they don't, it's because simply they didn't want him. What the hell is this doing? Someone at Last Word on Sports is publishing an article right now about Scooble trading spots, and I'm very encouraged to read what they think, because Jeff Passan linked the Yankees to Scooble, and I don't think they should do it, because I think unless they sign him, I think Amai, because and the reason I think Amai makes so much sense is because both Steinbrenner and Curry, and Cashman, Curry didn't say anything about this. For Pagan, it's a 2-year, $20 million. He wasn't even that good. He's getting $10 million. And see, this is why the Yankees aren't involved in the top starting pitcher market. Stove. Okay. So I'm putting up on my X account right now the Yankee Hot Stove updates from episode 1. Let me see if I can just get this so it can go on Threads, and then I'm going to put this. And they put a disclaimer out at the beginning of the episode, and I will redo it on my socials. I put a disclaimer out every offseason, or really every not off season because we're not always in the off season when rumors are swirling. Either the off season or the trade deadline, I always put out a quick little disclaimer of be careful who you trust. There are some people that you should not trust that put stuff out just to put stuff out just for the hell of it. And it's the truth. There are certain people who are very outspoken because they have a platform on, let's just say, MLB Network or The Athletic, who in fact don't know what they're talking about entirely, and sometimes they're just throwing stuff at the wall. Like JP Morosi, for example, if we're going to mention a name just for an example, a lot of times throws stuff at the wall that is like completely inaccurate. Or Hector Gomez is always a fun one, like completely inaccurate. My favorite was the Mark Feinstein tweet from last offseason with the Taylor Walls as being traded. And then, okay. So I agree with your point on this. I agree. The problem is, if I were the Yankees, what I would do is I would call up Scott Boras and I would say, okay, if we're to trade for Tarek Skubal, he's going to sign on the dotted line the second he gets here. Now, that's not going to happen because that's not how business is done. But that's what the Yankees should try and do. Because I can see it. I can see him going to the Mets. I don't want to compare it to Juan Soto, but I could see him coming here, him carrying us to and hopefully winning a World Series. I would give him, 15 years, 450 if he signed on the dotted line then. And they do have money coming off the books. You're entirely right. They can do it. I believe they can do it. I'm saying more so the risk would be letting him hit free agency and Steve Cohen betting at him. The Yankees could have gone to the lengths they wanted to for Soto. They were not giving Soto a suite, which I kind of agree with. He didn't need a suite. But they could have, and they did, and they decided not to. I think Skubal makes so much sense. I think Skubal would be a perfect fit with this team. I want to see Skubal in pinstripes. I want to see Skeens in pinstripes, which I think that has more smoke to it, once the Pirates actually do trade him because of the front office relationships. But that's a story for another day. I think that the Yankees need to add another high-end starter. If they went out and got Skubal, you could put Pena, that kid I wrote about today, that the Yankees signed to the minor league. You pretty much put him in left field and just see what happens at that point. 12,450 is probably good. That probably gets it done. I mean, they're going to shoot for years, and they always do. And the Yankees are really good at giving years. Like historically, they're really, really good at giving years away and not money. I think 12,450 is good. And I don't know how many other teams. Like I don't know if the Mets would give 12,450. I really don't. I don't know if the Mets would give 12,450, or really any other team. The Tigers certainly aren't. If the Tigers were really smart, he'd be on the next flight out of Detroit. And I trust Jeff Passan when he says the Yankees have the capital. He didn't say the Yankees are talking. He said the Yankees have the capital to get the deal done. There is a difference. Now, are we to assume that the Yankees have had a conversation? Probably, because they've had conversations on a lot of these guys. Hell, they had conversations about Schwarber. Cashman said it at his night out, where he called it a meme instead of a meme. Yeah, it's going to be a high. I could see him making 40 a year. Honestly, I could see it being closer to 40. His agent Scott Boras is going to look with this contract to break records. And the Yankees did it with Cole. and it was kind of a similar situation where it was like that's the guy they want. They have, they're not going to be paying Hicks. They're not going to be. I don't think they're paying Hicks now. They're not going to be paying LeMayu. They're going to be on their last season of Stanton. Think about that. 2027 is the last year guaranteed to Stanton. They have like a club option and a buyout. They're probably buying him out. Unless he's like very close to hitting 500 home runs. I think he's at 457. So the thing with Passan, there's definitely been a conversation. I don't know where it's gone. I believe Passan to his word because he's probably the most accurate. I also want to remind everybody with prediction articles coming from ESPN and their insiders and certain people. ESPN, the first letter of the E is entertainment. Passan is legit. But there are some things that are like Passan contributed to this. Oh, this is great. Yes Network just put up potential starting rotation. Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, Cam Schlittler, Luis Heel, Will Warren, Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt's not returning till like September. So let's get that like straight, and he can go to the bullpen. I don't think Will Warren should be on this team next year. I think he should be a trade chip. I really do. And I think Heel's a liability. So I think Scooble or Freddie Peralta or Imai, I think Imai of the three is probably the most realistic because all it's going to take is money, and they can do what they did with Fried and backload that contract, what the Blue Jays just did with Cease. And my point with all this is now, as I'm going to accumulate this and start to wrap up soon, the Yankees have to, they absolutely have to do something. They can't just sit here and be like, well, we can't get Bellinger back, boo-hoo. Well, then go make a trade for someone and do something. Or, if you can't get Bellinger back, then go sign a Mai and trade for Scooble and really make this rotation like you're not beating this rotation to the playoffs. Go do that. Because the other thing is Fried hasn't been great in the playoffs. So Jeff Passan just put out on Threads, and he's been a god on Threads. Cedric Mullins to the Rays, 1 year, $7.5 million. I told you about the other two. There's going to be more. It's that time of year, but the Yankees can't just say we're running it back with a couple upgrades back in that bullpen and see you in March. That's not going to work. Yeah, the Mets do. The Red Sox definitely do. The Red Sox farm system's better. Don't want to say this because I don't want to give that front office ideas. The Dodgers have a much better farm system to get that deal done. The Mets might, if they're willing to part with certain people. The Yankees would probably have to part with Schlittler and Warren. I'm trying to think of other farm systems of contenders. I don't know much about Toronto's farm system. I know for a while it wasn't really great. I don't think it is that great. I mean, your Savage is up. I think he was their hot commodity, and it would probably take him and their starting rotations completely. I don't really know. I also think that the Tigers are going to be reluctant to trade him within the American League because they think they can win. I could see the Cubs doing it maybe because I know they need starting pitching. But I don't know if they have the capital to get it done. That's a tough question. I mean, the Yankees definitely have the capital to get it done. I'm not saying they don't. What I am saying is if the Yankees get it done, it's going to take a lot. So, yes. What team was it that likes our pitching? There was a Central team or a West team. It might have been the Padres. The Padres really like the Yankee pitching and catching. They really like JC Escara. They have some arms in the bullpen. Obviously, I've mentioned that they have Tatis, which I don't think will happen, but they love the Yankee pitching prospects. They love them. There are other teams around the leagues because the Yankees develop pitching very, very, very well. This is very known. The Rays in the past have liked the Yankee system. I don't think they have any pieces that the Yankees really need. I haven't really checked up. I mean, they made a free agent signing today. They signed Mullins, but I don't think they're close to contending either. I There was one that the Rays aren't going to really spend money this offseason. Like I think 7.5 million for him is probably their big free agent upgrade because they don't have money to spend right now. They're trying to rebuild a stadium and get back a stadium. Um, Detroit definitely likes certain guys. The problem is it's going to be so much for 1 year. Like I said, if the Yankees got a guarantee from Scott Boras and Tarek Skubal, and I know they do this in other sports. I think they did. Well, they do in the NFL because it was the Micah Parsons trade was kind of like this, where he was traded to Green Bay and Green Bay immediately extended him. What the Yankees are going to look to do if they do get a deal done for Skubal. I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they aren't because I really don't know. Skubal's been such a quiet one, and I'm sure if there was real noise, we'd hear about it, like we're hearing about with Peralta. I think that they have enough to get a deal done. And if it was guaranteed that he would stay here long term, I think they would sign on the dotted line now. I think the trade would be done. At the end of the day, there isn't a guarantee. And I think there's definitely a concern that that doesn't get done, but they're going to be looking for a lot of controllable starting. They're going to look for ERC, Lagrange. They're going to look for a lot. They're going to want a lot, and they're probably going to want a position player as well. I don't know what position they're looking. I mean, they're probably going to be looking for. You know what? They might ask for Lombard. He would fit them kind of well, actually, because Lombard can translate to second, and Torres is a free agent after the season, and they're probably not going to want him back. And that would make a lot of sense for them, actually. Huh. I didn't think of that. I mean, there's definitely. I mean, it's going to take a lot. See, and this is the game that we like to play. You can't have this one, you can't have that one. At the end of the day, one of those two, if not both of them, are going to be in the deal. If there is one. Because or else it doesn't make sense for the Tigers to do it because then they can go to Boston and get a much better deal. They can go to some other team. I mean, at this point, get a deal done. I mean, they're going to have to part with one of them, at least one of them, if not both of them. Now, I don't think it'll take both of them, but it's definitely a tricky slope. I guess the Yankees are not exactly done this offseason, according to The Athletic, who someone just tweeted out, this is great. My one takeaway from the Yankee Hot Stove show is the Yankees are being very cautious about what they're putting out there. You could take that however you like, but they're clearly not sharing much. And now someone goes, people are now acting like the offseason's over. Someone goes, I have written this underneath people's posts, but if you watched it live like I did, it was so different the previous 2 years. I think they want to keep their cards close to their vest considering what happened with Soto and Yamamoto. Oh, I didn't think of that. I mean, they really gave no hints out, like whatsoever. They threw cold water on stuff that kind of had to have cold water. Barstool Hubs is great. Rice is another one they're unwilling to deal. That was also at the deadline where a lot of teams called about Rice and the Yankees were like, absolutely not. It's a good package. I would substitute Rice for Jones, and that might get it done. It is just a year, but you also have to remember this isn't, and I'm not trying to insult you because I really enjoy this back and forth. I really do. You got to remember, though, the team is going to want more. The Tigers don't have to trade him. They can keep him if they want. Instead, they rather deal him. They might want to deal him so they can get a return back. They're not going to deal him cheap. What's that app? I know Fangraphs does one now, and I've used that one. I don't pay for the MLB Trade Rumor app. I know others do. I'll use the Fangraphs one if I need to make like a trade proposal because it's kind of accurate. It's gonna blow it up. Rice is probably gonna be better than Jones, but that's why the Yankees want to keep him. Like if they're to trade Rice, who's their first baseman? And if there's already a reluctance to spend, who's playing first? Goldschmidt wouldn't make sense because he wasn't great in the second half. They're not getting Alonso. They pretty much just told you that is not happening. So Rice is probably on the no trade block unless they trade him and they wheel and deal and they get other people, which they could do. I'm not saying they're not going to. I'm just saying this is tough. I think the Athletics said they had like interest in Jorge Polanco today, which doesn't make sense at all. Because they just said they're not going to get rid of Volpe, and he's an infielder. Unless they're, you got to be careful with who you. So, but yeah, Rice is definitely better than Jones, and he's done it at the major league level. But the Yankees aren't going to want to do him. I could see Okamoto. I could totally see that. Okamoto's market's also very different from Imai's market right now. There are a lot of teams talking to Okamoto. And it's Boris or Bellinger. But remember, they just said the Bellinger negotiations might get a little out of hand. Okamoto's agent's also Scott Boras. And they're definitely, I can guarantee this, Rice is not traded unless they have a contract already in place for a first baseman. They're definitely not doing that because they're not going into the season with TJ Rumfield from AAA as your first baseman. There's no way they do that. So unless they get Bellinger and say, okay, we're going to keep Dominguez in left, we're going to put Bellinger at first, and we're going to trade, I would probably trade Wells. So I love Okamoto. The problem is the Yankees don't have a spot to offer him a starting position like other teams do, which is where I think the Yankees fall short on Okamoto. That's my one concern. I think they're definitely going to be interested. There'll definitely be conversations. I don't think they'll ultimately land him the way I think that they'll land Amai, because I think Tetsuya Amai makes sense, and there's been a lot of smoke. And if they don't land Amai, then I think they will go hardcore for Okamoto. The reason is because they've talked about all offseason, and I don't think they're going to get Murakami. I'm going to throw water on that one. I know everyone's like, they're going to get Murakami. Well, they don't need more strikeouts in their lineup. Oh, here we go. The Brian Cashman resume. All right, so let me read this because this is fun. From Barstool Hubs. About as bleak of a start to the Yes Hot Stove as I can remember, just hammering home without directly saying it that Christian's qualifying offer derailed everything. They made another disaster mistake. And then they're talking about now they're hyping up Volpe. I can't think it would get any worse. Yes, but that's also internal. I don't know. I don't know. This one's. I like Okamoto. This is tough. I want them to get Okamoto in the worst way. I really, really do. But the thing is, yes, they need Okamoto more than anyone. That's an internal argument. And that could be an internal argument of let's just go out and take whatever it's going to get to go get him. That's all great. If he's guaranteed a starting job on another team, he's going to take it over taking a potential bench job unless they trade Jazz or McMahon. Which what show was it today? Oh, SNY. I was turning the TV on. Brian Hoke was on SNY. They do the SNY hot stove, which is complete propaganda. SNY's Baseball Night in New York is worse than Yes Network propaganda that they put out. And they were talking about the Yankees should trade Jazz Chisholm. I've said that all off season that's been reported. I heard that, and others have backed it up. That it's not totally out. I was told it wasn't out of the realm of possibility that he could be traded. I also wasn't told no. It's not expected, but no. Like I could totally see them trading him and then getting something back. He could be in a he could be in a deal for Skubal. Or for actually that wouldn't work for Skubal. He's played outfield though. That might work. No, there haven't. Okamoto's very quiet. The reason we got the quotes from Amai, he went on Daisuke Matsuzaka's podcast out in Japan, and the Japanese media blew it up, and it made its way over here. That's how we had quotes from them. So yeah, Yankee Hot Stove and other people have said, Gary Sheffield, listening to Jack Curry shares thoughts on Yankee offseason on yes, it's difficult to feel inspired for what is to come. Sounds like the calm before a sunny day. Yeah, the problem with this is McMahon makes a lot of money, and that's going to be a hard contract to move because if you can move Jazz, who's not making as much in arbitration, and you also have to think of it, who has a higher upside to bringing in potential. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now because as we're talking about this, SNY just shared the clip that I was just talking about. So I'm going to share my screen to this. Hold on, if I can pull it up. Okay. I want to address the last part that Hoke mentioned. And hold on. I think I didn't share my screen. I think I hit stop sharing. Let me reshare it. Hold on 1 second. I think I hit stop sharing. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen to this. Also share audio. Okay. Here.
Extension and look, he's going into a walk here. This is last year under contract, and I just think that he's coming off a 31 homer, 31 stolen base season, dynamic player. But do the Yankees see him as their future at Sace? And if not, he could probably bring a significant return right here. He might be one of your best trade chips, and you can answer some of the questions here. So is he a part of the Yankees for 4 to 5 years? Do they see his personality in the room for 4 to 5 years?
Right. So I'm going to address that last part about his personality. They just put up like a graphic of like on Yes Network, they just put a graphic up of like the AL East stuff. that have happened. Oh, Yankees are going to be live on Sunday night. Okay, so we will be live Sunday night at 9 p.m. because I can sleep in on Mondays. So we will be live on Sunday at 9 p.m. Talking about what they're talking about on Yankee Hot Stove because the winter meetings begin next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m. So we'll be on here. I'll probably do another episode probably between now and then. Hold on, why is this not working? But what I'm saying is the last part about they're not sure about Jazz and his attitude in the clubhouse. I want to focus on that for a second. I had heard that last offseason, that there were concerns then about how this would fare in New York long term. There's actually another person that hasn't been mentioned on here that I do want to mention. Brendan Donovan of the St. Louis Cardinals, I think makes a ton of sense. And I think that could be a bigger deal than just Dono. I think it could be Donovan and Jojo Romero because I know they like him. And I think I mentioned last week that when his market was heating up, the Yankees were definitely among the teams that had interest. I don't know what their relationship is. By there, I mean Cashman with Chaim Bloom. I don't remember them doing like anything big when Chaim was in Boston. So I'm not sure what the relationship is there. I don't want to speculate and say, it was great or it sucked, but I am saying that the Yankees will definitely have interest there. And I think that that's a move we could see them do because then Donovan could take over at second base and being in a revitalized environment like New York, I think could help him. And it's also a ballpark that's made for him. Now, with the I'd rather trade McMahon thing, I liked the McMahon trade. I think it's a good trade for the Yankees. I also think McMahon has more offensive potential than what meets the eye. I think he's going to be a better offensive player next year than I think what we all are thinking right now. People like him a lot. He's a very good defender. He's kind of scrappy. He's got some power. He's a DFA candidate, though. He hasn't had the greatest couple of years for St. Louis, which is what? My watch just told me like my heartbeat's like irregular, and they can't send me notification. Oh, no, wrong count. People like Donovan. Yeah, locate good. Let's pull up Donovan's numbers. I wouldn't trade the farm for this guy if he's a DFA candidate. I'd wait till he gets DFA'd. I can tell you one thing: I'm definitely not watching the Nets. They're on at 8. Good. That gives me like 10 minutes to get their lineup out. Definitely not watching the Nets. That's completely out of the realm of possibility here. Put the Knicks on. Let's see. What? Not now. What is this? Brendan Donovan. Okay. All right. Share this tab. All right. His actual numbers are actually pretty good. He's a very good base runner. He's an okay fielder. He's about an average fielder, slightly below. The bat speed's low, but the hard hit barrel percentage and exit velo are all average. You like to see that. His K rate is really good, and his base on ball rate is pretty good. So this is why people like him. He's a really good K rate. He has a 13% strikeout rate and an 8% walk rate. That's good. He's a good. The one thing I wish this app did would be like I wish Macs had touchscreens, by the way, because getting used to using like an iPad with a keyboard and not having a touchscreen has been killing me today. I wish they had it where I could compare a player. Splits. So he had he had a 315 batting average against right-handers, 230 against lefties. So he's more of a platoon player. So actually, I think that's something that could play into the Yankees' advantage over the next 2 years. I think they should be looking for more platoon type players. And I think Donovan's really good for that. Let's see some of the home runs. Statcast. Because how many home runs did he hit last year? I'm going to scroll right past that. Standard. 10. Yeah, Yankee Stadium would help him. Husker Braza, man, that was against the Mets. Yu Darvish. K. Povich, okay, against the O's. Jake Irvin, he was a Rocky. Ben Brown, that's Chicago. Walker Buehler. Tyler Anderson. Yes, I do like to see who he hit the home runs off of because... Oh, Jacob Mizorowski. Slade Sione, and this one to Oppo, Colin Ray. He had a lot of home runs against the NL Central and the AL East. That's good to see. There should be a spot on here that lets you see, if I go down here, where it rates his home runs for the ballparks. So he had, it said 10 home runs this year. If he had played all of his games in Yankee Stadium, he would have had 5 more home runs. That's a big deal. Like 5 home runs is not, a little bit. 5 home runs is a big deal. And I know a lot of people have said the Yankees should go out and get Kwan. That's not happening. If they want to get a contact guy that doesn't hit too many home runs and plays solid defense and is a good base runner, go out and get Brendan Donovan. It's going to cost you a lot less and probably give you about the same amount of potential. Because if we go ballpark to ballpark, I mean, I'm not going to – the only one that has more – okay, Coors, which they're definitely not getting them. Arizona, I could see making a push. Wait, hold on. Wait, no, he would have had less in Arizona, less in Coors. I think 15's the most. Oh, 17 at that bandbox in Cincinnati. Oh, and 18 at the A's, and they're definitely not. And that's not even a real ballpark. Huh. There's a spray chart somewhere. I know there's a spray chart on here. All right, let's take a second to find it. Breakdowns. Visuals. Okay, here. He kind of plays a lot of games, which is good. His batting average was 9th in the AL, 287. Like, I don't get how he's a DFA candidate. I don't know why St. Louis people are saying he's a DFA candidate. I don't know why. Okay, let's see. Home run spray chart. Okay. So he hits a lot of his home runs to what would be the sweet spot, or a lot of his hits. As a lefty, he hits a lot of them to left center at Yankee Stadium, right center at Yankee Stadium, right center to center. Like, this is Death Valley over here. This is kind of the sweet spot, the 3 where he hits the most. He would hit Yankee Stadium pretty much to a T. Postseason, There's not much from the postseason. All seasons. Let's see. And you see his career numbers are similar with what we saw in 25. If we go to 2025 home runs, he didn't hit a ton. And let's go to 24. They were all pull. They were all pull side. Donovan's a solid option, I think. And then in terms of fielding in 2025, okay, so he played 3 positions: second base, shortstop, left field. If they're gonna get rid of Bellinger, not Bellinger. Oh my God! If they're gonna get rid of Jazz, this is good. Okay, so he played the most innings of all 3 at second base. He had 4 errors in 100 games. That's a 909. That's a 999 fielding percentage, a 990, and then did not have an error in left where he had a double play or shortstop, and then obviously DH you don't get. And then if you go back to 24, he played a lot at second base. He had 1 error. So his defense compared to last year took a minuscule step back. He's a really good defender, according to StatCast. I might have to talk about Brendan Donovan in a piece tomorrow. All right, for right now, that's going to be it. We've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes. But thank you all for watching. Subscribe. I'll be back on here. I'll probably do another pod at some point, and then I'll be back for a Hot Stove Live Sunday. If they're doing a live on Sunday night, I'll be on here. Go Yankees, and have a good week, everyone.